In episode 58, iPiffle on philosophies and religions' view of the soul. In many religions, as well as in numerous philosophical and mythological traditions, the soul is thought to be the non-physical and immortal essence of a living being. Some religions believe that only humans possess immortal souls, while there are other religions which teach that all living organisms have souls. There are even some religions which teach that there are also non-living entities, such as mountains and rivers, that possess souls. The ancient Greeks were very vivid in their description of the soul. They believed it to be the spiritual breath which gives life to the body, and that the body was incapable of living without the soul. Socrates said that after the body died, the soul would still exist on its own and could continue to think. He believed that when the body dies, the soul is then reborn into other bodies in a continuous cycle. Plato went a step further in his depiction of the soul and theorized that the soul consists of three distinct parts: the logos, the mind, which he believed is contained in a person's head and is related to reason; the thymos, emotion, which he believed is contained near the chest and is related to anger; and the eros, desire, which he believed is contained in the stomach and is related to one's desires. Aristotle had an altogether different view of the soul. He taught that the soul is not separate from the body, but that it is included as a part of the total organism. To be fully actualized as a living human being, a man needs to possess both a body and soul, which is unique to that individual. Judaism teaches, as it is inferred in the book of Genesis, that it is God who gives man his soul. Jewish scholars believe that all souls differ in quality based on the degree to which an individual performs the mitzvot, God's commandments. The more a person adheres to the mitzvahs during his lifetime, the more his soul is enriched, and the more enriched his soul becomes, it reaches higher levels of understanding and becomes closer to God. Most Christian theologies teach that only humans possess souls, and that the soul is an entity that exists distinct from the body, and yet together they are integrally connected to each other. Men's souls have unique characteristics which Christians describe in moral, spiritual, and philosophical terms. There is no consensus in Christianity as to the origin of the soul. They put forth three distinct theories to explain the soul's inception. One theory is called creationism, which theorizes that all individual souls are created directly by God, either at the precise moment of conception or at some later time, while the baby is still in its mother's womb. The second theory is called traducianism, which theorizes that all individual souls come from the parents by what is termed natural generation. The third theory is called preexistence, which theorizes that all souls came into existence long before the moment of conception, possibly all the way back to the beginning of the world. There is widespread disagreement among members of the Christian faith whether human embryos possess souls from the moment of conception, or perhaps they received them later or at the time of their birth. This discussion of precisely when a human being acquires a soul fuels the impassioned debate on the morality of abortion and the degree to which aborting a fetus is considered to be a mortal sin against God. Islam teaches that men's souls are both immortal and eternal. They believe whatever a person does during his lifetime is recorded in detail, and at some time after death, everyone will be judged within Allah's court. This final judgment will decide the fate of a person's soul and is the determinant of how it will spend eternity. It all hinges upon how a person performs during his lifetime, based on the personal life test that was given to him by Allah. In Hinduism, to use the term soul is an inaccurate concept as it implies that the body is possessed. Hindus refer to the self, which is more descriptive in that it signifies the object which perceives all others. The self is said to be distinct from the various faculties of the mind, such as thinking, reasoning, understanding, desire, and self-image. Hindus are taught that each of these mental faculties, taken all together, must be considered a part of nature. Buddhism teaches that everything, including men's souls, are constantly changing and evolving. They believe that no permanent state in the world we live in exists by itself, not even man. God's universe is in a perpetual state of flux. Thus, Hindus believe that humans have no personal self, so that when they refer to a man's soul, they simply mean a non-physical element inherent in all living things that can continue after death. However, Buddhism denies the existence of a permanent soul that remains forever constant as one transcends through rebirth from one body to another. Every time a soul is reincarnated, the mental processes also changes. Therefore, the soul that is reborn into a new life is neither completely different from nor completely the same as it was during a previous existence. The Baha'i faith affirms in its writings that the soul is a sign of God, a heavenly gem whose reality the most learned of men have failed to grasp, and whose mystery no man, however acute, can ever hope to unravel. Followers of Baha'i believe that the soul is immortal and will continue to live in another realm following the physical death of the human body. In Jainism, every living creature, from the simplest microscopic life form to plants, animals, and humans, all possess souls. This belief that all life forms have souls forms the very basis of the religious faith. Jainism maintain that based on its current state, souls can be categorized into two basic entities. Non-liberated souls are those of any living being which are still part of the life cycle of death and rebirth. And the liberated souls are those that have reached purity and enlightenment and have attained liberation from the cycle of rebirth. It does not matter which state the soul is currently in, as it will keep the same qualities and attributes as it moves along the path to liberation. The only difference between a non-liberated soul and a liberated soul is that the latter has been able to move beyond all the karmic bondages that are still holding back the former. While still stuck in the cycle of rebirth, the physical body is only a temporary vessel for the soul, which is immortal. Vershan Gandhi is quoted as saying, "The soul lives its own life, not for the body, but the body lives for the soul." Thank you for listening. I hope you will join me in my next video.